Hey, Papa here. I wanted to show you the clothes I wear and why I think they're very good for someone who does a lot of camping, hiking, and mountain biking, or just lives and spends a lot of time in the outdoors like I do. The most unusual part of my clothes is these pants. They only go down to the knees. You could call them knee pants or knee breeches. And really all they are is, these are Dickies that you could buy at Walmart. I cut them off about right here and then roll them up, and I use these elastic hair bands to gather them back here in the back like this. Okay, so that holds them tighter around my leg, and I can always take that out if I want to. They're versatile because I can turn them into shorts just by rolling them up a couple of lengths. Also, when I'm out and about, and if I get wet from the knee down, then I don't have to change pants. That's useful to you if you're backpacking and you can't carry several pairs of pants with you that would be heavy. Now, so what I do with my from the knee down, I will show you. I've got something different on each leg. On this leg, I've got what's called a puttee, and that's a wrap. It's a piece of wool about 8 inches wide, about 6 or 7 feet long, and it's just wrapped around my leg like this. And then I use these elastic bands to hold it tight like this. Of course, I got one here. Why is that useful? Well, here again, if I get wet, if my feet get wet, then all I have to do is change these wool socks out. I don't have to change my puttees. Let's say I'm hiking in the west where in the mornings it's really cold and in the afternoons it can get really hot. Well, it's easy. You don't have to take off your boots or your shoes to take off these puttees. You just unroll them off of your leg and throw them in your backpack. They don't take up a bunch of room. If they get wet, they're just a strip of wool, and that's much easier to dry at a campfire or just hanging up than would be, let's say, a pair of socks and for sure a pair of pants. Also, you can use these for a lot of different things besides just around your leg. If it gets cold, you got a nice neck scarf here. You can put it around your head to keep you warm, just like they do in Romania and Bulgaria, etc. You can make a sling out of them if you hurt your arm, or a wrap, a first aid kind of wrap. So they're really good. This is just I made these myself from an old army blanket, and I just cut strips out of it and ran the edges on a sewing machine to keep it from unraveling. Back in World War I, this is what all the soldiers wore on their legs. Why? Because they lived in wet trenches all the time. You had to change these out when they got wet. You'd have 2 or 3 pairs of these. They don't take up much room. They dry fast, and that worked for them, and it works for me too. Another solution is what I have on this leg. I've got a long wool sock that goes up to almost to my knee, and it's cut out. I cut the foot out of it, and so that goes on my leg. You can call it a legging, and the wool sock goes up on top of that. If my feet get wet, I just have to change out my wool sock, and I have 3 pairs of really good wool socks that I keep around all the time, so that if one pair gets wet, I can dry it and still have a dry pair. These things they're harder to take off. You really can't take them off without taking your boots off, so puttees are better. But they work pretty good too. They're wool, so they dry easily. What else was I going to say? Really cold outside, and that has happened a lot out west in the spring and the fall. I put my puttee, wrap my puttee wrap around my leg, and then pull this on top of it, and then pull my lower sock on top of that. That keeps me warm. When you're biking, you don't want a piece of floppy long pants that's going to get caught in your sprocket. And so that's another advantage of having having this system here. Up top, I just got a long sleeve shirt, and I also, have this Under Armour stuff on when it's cold. It's interesting our forefathers, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin and all those guys, they wore knee breeches just like this and long socks for exactly the same reason that I'm doing it. It works for people who are in the outdoors. They had to walk through muddy roads and stuff. And what is also interesting is, did these guys wear underpants? The answer is no, they did not. The shirt that they wore was a long shirt that went down, you know, like about right there or even lower, and they would tuck that in and wrap it around their bodies down here, and that served as their underwear. That's a good idea when it's hot. I do the same thing. I use a long shirt and no underwear. You stay cooler. You don't have to have underwear that you have to wash. Okay, this is a cashmere pullover sweater, really nice, that fits me, and I got it at the thrift store for like $2 or $3. It's been great. It's part of a layering system that people who spend a lot of time in the outdoors use. You don't wear a big bulky coat, you wear layers. A cashmere sweater, I have a shirt, a cashmere sweater that I put on, and then I have a goose down vest that fits over that, and some gloves if I need them, especially if I'm biking. And that way I can peel these layers off when I get warmed up, and they're not big and bulky, so I can throw them in the backpack. They don't take up a lot of room like a big giant heavy thick coat would do. And all folks that go out spend a lot of time out in the wild, use the layering system. Wool is the best, the very best of all. Cashmere is super good. This also will dry pretty quick because it's wool, and that's something that you need when you just have to hang something up or hang it by the fire to dry. You don't have an electric dryer nearby. Okay, so that's what I wear and why I wear it. I hope this has been useful to you. Papa signing out.